Okay. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Today we'll be discussing Business 101, the part three of our series, setting your dashboard and your budget. On the call today is myself. My name is Jordan Fling. I'm a limited partner at the firm. And then also Nick White is going to be assisting me as well. And he'll be getting into the dashboard section while I go over the budgets today. If you happen to want to watch our webinar again because you found it so useful or want one of your clients or a friend to watch it, we will be posting it to our YouTube channel, and I recommend you watch it there as well. So today, as the title of our presentation kind of hints at, today we'll be getting into budgeting, why it's important for your business, what it can do for your business, as well as dashboards. So let's kind of get into budgeting first. So what we'll be talking about today is what is a budget? What's the purpose of one? Do I really need it? How do I go about actually setting one up if I decide to? And when do I actually start budgeting? When is it worth my time to begin this process? So let's start off with what is a budget? A budget on its surface is simply a estimation of cash inflows and cash outflows for your business, for the purpose of seeing whether or not your business will be profitable. I would say that on the surface is what it is. What it can be is just so much more than that. It can be a tool that you can use to guide your decisions in your business. It can be used as kind of a guidance systems in terms of, am I going in the right direction? Am I not? And it can be used for benchmarking. So let's talk a little bit about guidance. Whenever I think about what a budget is, I always think of going kind of on a road trip. And I think of those classic stories of friends who go on road trips and they drive, 3 hours into the road trip and they realize we've started in one direction and we've ended up in the wrong state. And that's kind of what a budget does, is it's a roadmap for where you want to take your business. I'm spending all this time and energy and resources trying to develop my business. Am I doing it in the right way? Do I need to focus my goals on obtaining new revenue? Do I need to focus my goals on replacing equipment? Do I need to focus my goals on decreasing my accounts receivable collection times? If you don't set up a plan in advance, all you're going to be doing is working without a direction for your efforts. Nick, any additional points on that?
No, I completely agree with what you just mentioned, and especially when setting a budget, I would try to stay away from the thought of what a lot of people think of as setting a budget is constricting my ability to spend money or whatever. Think of it a way of that roadmap that Jordan was just mentioning. Make sure that you're budgeting your expenses to the best ability that will help the business grow.
Yeah, I think whenever people think of a budget in terms of a business, they often associate it with how people use a budget more in their personal lives, which is, I have been eating too much McDonald's, spending too much money on going out. I should really cut back on that. And I really just don't think that's necessarily how they are used in reality in businesses. Yes, it may be an indicator that maybe you're taking too many clients out to meals, but it also may be an indicator that you're really not taking enough clients out to meals. Maybe your client retention has gone down and you notice that your interactions with clients have gone down. You notice that your meals expenditures for the years have decreased significantly. So maybe it's time to start getting some more face-to-face time in with clients. So the ability for you to recognize changes in your business, a requirement of that is to set the benchmark of, this is where I want to be. This is where I expect to be after all this effort. If I don't start with that benchmark, I'm just going in a direction. I don't even know if it's the right direction. So I can't stress the importance of setting a final destination that you expect yourself to be in, because without it, you're really just working to work, in my opinion. I think that, it's important to start businesses with a plan, because it's so easy as a new business owner or as a business starter to have so much on your plate that you just don't think you can set aside the time. But I really do believe it is important to set aside the time to create some sort of direction for yourself. And I think a lot of business owners do it in their mind, maybe in terms of these are kind of my goals that I have in the back of my head. But I also think it's important to write those goals down. Whenever you write a goal down, the odds of you actually accomplishing it increase significantly. Nick, anything else on that before we move forward?
No, go for it.
Okay. So how do we actually create a budget? There's all these different moving parts. If I'm a new business starting out, figuring out how much money am I going to be taking in? How much capital am I going to be taking in? The unfortunate answer is there is not a correct answer for all. Some businesses are going to be based off of the amount of time you have available. Some businesses are going to be the amount of product that you can produce. So if you are, once again, a wooden whistle maker, you may be limited on your ability to get a special type of wood. And so your ability to operate your business may be constricted by the materials available to you. Or if you are an accounting firm, in the midst of tax season, your biggest constraint normally is going to be the availability of time. So whenever you're thinking about how to create these cash inflows, think about what's restricting you in your business. And then a good exercise during that process is thinking, how can I evaluate those constrictions and how can I overcome them? Should I think about outsourcing a new type of wood? Should I think about hiring on new staff? Should I think about, getting loans so that I have more capital to buy more inventory, things like that? So creating a real budget means that you need to have critical thinking processes in terms of what's stopping you in your business from succeeding so that you can think of ways to overcome them. When it comes to expenses, I think that's normally a result of that you're going to have your fixed expenses and your variable expenses. So your fixed expenses are not going to change month to month. So once you have a place that you're going to rent out for your business, or you're not going to rent out, you're just moving from home, you know that your monthly expenses associated with that business are this. And then you will have loan payments perhaps for some equipment that you had to buy. So you find what regardless of your working expenses are, you have those. And then you need to think about what expenses increase as my production increases. So if I'm making whistles in my office, I'm going to have a monthly rent expense of $500. And then if I'm producing 5 whistles at $5 a piece, it's going to be $25 of expenses. But if I'm producing 1,000 whistles, obviously those expenses are going to go up. Just because you're having more production doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. You need to evaluate, okay, well, if I have to buy 1,000 whistles, do I have the capital, the working capital needed to support that? Or do I have to decrease the inventory I have on hand because I can't really afford to have that much raw material sitting in my office because I'll run out of cash to pay the bills. So whenever you're thinking about putting together your expenses side, think about how much capital do I have? How much capital do I need to support my business? What sort of red light indicators do I need to be thinking about to where I need to reevaluate how I'm operating my business? Should I be looking at my inventory at the end of every week, quarter, month? Should I be looking at my cash at the end of every week, quarter, month? Yes, probably. So just make sure that you're finding out what is going to kind of restrict your business in terms of success, once again, and then either change or be ready to operate based on those restrictions. Nick, anything I'm missing there?
No, I don't think you're missing anything, but I just want to reiterate to be realistic with all of your projections. That's the big thing.
Yeah, I think, I should probably hit on that a little bit more. Whenever I come up with budgets for clients, what I often find they are trying to do is, it seems like a wishing operation in terms of, well, if everything operates in a vacuum and some things that aren't necessarily possible happen, we could make this much money. That's a wonderful thought process in terms of thinking, the capability of the business. But whenever you're thinking about how to operate the business, our assumptions should be based in reality. And those assumptions can be optimistic or pessimistic, depending on the business owner. But still, they should have that critical thought of, can I actually accomplish these goals? And are these inputs that I'm using to create this budget actually realistic? Catherine, any sort of questions or anything like that we have so far?
No questions right now, but if anyone has one to ask, you can either use the question and answer function, or you can send a chat to me and I'll make sure that we get it answered.
Yep. Okay, so when should you create a budget? I think that the most difficult time to create a budget is immediately upon the commencement of your business. You have the least amount of historical data that you ever will to base it off of. But I do think that, once again, for goal setting, for benchmarking your business, it's important to set some sort of assumptions. Those assumptions can be fluid and they can change. Just because you set an annual budget at the beginning of the year doesn't mean that has to be what the budget ends up being, but it's important to assess the actual performance versus your original assumptions as you go on so that you can see how your business is actually performing. Because theoretically, whenever you set up these businesses and you set up these budgets, you have also interacted them with your personal life. I need this business to make this much money so that I can continue to live in this house. So continuing to assess whether or not your basic assumptions are correct is important, because it's going to not only impact your business life, but also your personal life, obviously. How often should you be reassessing? That depends on you as a business owner. I would think that in the beginning, you should be reassessing as often as possible, whether that be on a bi-weekly basis or monthly. I think if you do it only on an annual basis, especially in your first year of operations, I just don't think that your budgeting will be as effective. I think it's important that you have really frequent check-ins while you're first starting out, because that's going to be the time when all of your assumptions are just changing in terms of how your business is actually going to operate. So I think reassessing in the beginning is kind of what I think reassessing more often in the beginning of your business is very important. And then what kind of questions should I be asking myself as I'm reviewing my performance versus my budget is the difficult question. So if I was expecting my revenue to be $50,000 in the first quarter, and in reality, it was only $30,000, I should be asking myself, why? Did I say that I would make more phone calls to potential clients that I did? Is my success rate in terms of my conversion on potential leads lower? Have I thought about why it's lower? Those questions often kind of lead into those key performance indicators that you'll often hear us talking about, of the non-financial aspects that are driving the financial aspects of your business. So having that budget allows you to create those KPIs, which allows you to kind of dig in deeper in terms of what's causing these performance issues or the performance successes even of the business, so that I can continue to maybe pour more money into areas that I didn't necessarily originally think would be that beneficial. I think advertising is kind of the one that's constantly looked at in business of, is anyone actually sure in terms of advertising dollars spent to revenue gained? And I think it's important, especially for new businesses that are pouring a lot of the money that could be going into their pockets in the beginning into advertising, of seeing, where are my lead generations coming from? I'm spending all this money on advertising. It's more than I was expecting to spend, in fact, and I'm gaining less new clients. Well, where are you getting your new clients from is a question you should be asking yourself on that bi-weekly or quarterly basis. Nick, anything else with budgets before we kind of move on to your section?
Yeah, just kind of circling back to the reassessing and how often for a new business. I think when you're looking at your income statement on a monthly basis and comparing the actual results compared to what was budgeted, you should be reassessing your budget as you go through it, just in case there is some change in circumstance that you foresee coming. You can go ahead and address it, edit the budget, and so it's more accurate going forward.
Yeah, Nick, would you say whenever you're working with businesses, it's more common for a reassessment in terms of a less favorable result than they were expecting, or a more favorable result in terms of the business has outperformed? Because I think that can kind of give us a glimpse into whether most budgets that are set up are optimistic versus pessimistic.
I would say it's the budgets are probably more optimistic than pessimistic. We've had some changes in the past where the client did not foresee certain things going and boosted revenue, and we had to adjust, and we had to start thinking of their staffing and things like that. But as far as, if business isn't as going well as you thought, it is crucial to address that and change the budget and start thinking about what Jordan was mentioning, is how can I boost revenue? Do I need to make more calls? How can I get new customers? Things like that.
Yeah. So just to kind of encapsulate this first part of the structure, is a budget at the surface is a projection of your income and expenses, but what it is in reality, I think, is a very key tool in making decisions for the future of your business. Without it, I think that you're somewhat driving blind, or at least driving uninformed in terms of your original expectations versus your current actual proceedings. So Nick, let's kind of get into the dashboard and how it can be used in a business.
Yeah, so the dashboard is really just a quick snippet of what overall is going on in the business. It's something that you can log into first thing in the day or look at it very quickly, and it will give you a quick snapshot of what's going on. A lot of clients like to use their cash balance in the dashboard, maybe some liquidity ratios. A common one is what is their aged accounts receivable balance, what's their aged AP, how many new clients have come in within the last couple of weeks, things like that. So really, what you want in a dashboard is your top 5 to 10 things that can tell you a quick summary of how the business is looking within a certain period. And how a dashboard should be utilized is something that you should look at every day if you can. So it's those top 5 or 10 things that you want to look at every day to monitor. And those things will illuminate, again, how the business is performing. Are there aged receivables that are getting out there, 30, 60, 90 days? So that should raise the red flag. Someone needs to get on this. Someone needs to start calling these aged accounts so we can get our money collected. If you see aged payables getting out there, you need to investigate as to why. And that could be something where your cash balance is too low. And that should be definitely one of the things to include in the dashboard. And then verify some of the numbers. Make sure when you utilize it, make sure all your data is up to date. Make sure everything's flowing through. You want to make sure if you're on a cloud accounting software, bank feeds are connected, things are being reconciled on a regular basis. Any questions, Jordan? Do you think I missed anything on that?
So for someone that's just starting out, what do you think are the top 3 things that you see on a standard dashboard?
Ongoing cash balance. Cash flow is absolutely critical for all businesses. Aged receivables, because that's going to tell you how much cash should be coming in the door within the next 30, 60 days. And then a lot of people like to highlight certain accounts. If there's an expense account or that you need to monitor that you're afraid you've highlighted it in your budget and you want to make sure it hits a certain number each month, they have that on their dashboard. So they're looking at it and monitoring it every day to make sure by the end of the month or by the set period, your budget, your assessment is correct.
Sure.
Yeah, so here's an example of a dashboard. This is pretty basic. This has a lot of things that you could choose from. So we have our cash balance on here. Overview is where it shows your income, your net income, and expenses. And a lot of this stuff is kind of playing off one another, a bit repetitive, but this is just a quick look at what a dashboard could look to you, and it's fully customizable. But yeah, so this person obviously wants to track their top customers. So they have their top 5 customers that they want to know how much revenue each customer is bringing into the business. Then we have our receivable breakdown. So it's telling us, what's owed between 31 and 60 days. And you can see if say that $6,500 number was getting to 90 days, that would be a big issue because we really want to get that collected. Any questions on this?
Not necessarily questions, but just kind of 2 comments. I think the importance of this, all these reports, all these numbers are available to you in separate reports that you could run that are maybe more comprehensive. I think the benefit of a dashboard is it's right in front of your face and it does not require additional digging for you to see the overall health of your business on a day-to-day business. Would you say that's kind of a good summary of it?
Yeah, 100%. The dashboard isn't designed to give you the extreme detail. Yeah, in an accounting package, all the reports, all the details will feed into the dashboard. The dashboard should tell you, where things are quickly going the way you expect them to be, and if they're not, it gives you the indication. Okay, I need to go find out what's going on.
In your experience, Nick, whenever you implement a dashboard, have you noticed businesses are more knowledgeable about the ongoing financials of their business? Have you seen it normally make a difference?
Oh yes, most certainly, especially with that non-financial piece that you were talking about before. When they see the revenues down than expected, then they're more eager to go and look at what caused this. Why are we trending the wrong direction?
Yeah, I think one important aspect of this is a lot of business owners run their business based off of the cash balance in the back of their head. They can normally on a day-to-day basis go, it's about this. And just thinking about, kind of the power of this tool versus just that one generic number in the back of your mind. I just think that your ability to make decisions and be an informed user is just so much greater. And there's really not that much more effort required than opening up this page to see whether or not this is an accurate information.
For sure.
All right, Nick, anything else on dashboards before we kind of wrap up here?
No, I think I'm all set.
All right, fantastic. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us this week. Next week, I'll be discussing taxes, different kind of write-offs for your business, different structures that are available to your business, and kind of getting into that a little bit. So looking forward to speaking to everyone then. Catherine, before we sign off, any additional questions?
Nope, we don't have any. Thank you.